All right. Good day and welcome to Dying with Dignity Canada's annual general meeting taking place virtually on Zoom. I am glad to introduce DWDC's board chair, Jim Cowan, who will share with us some reflections on 2019.
Thanks, Cameron. As chair of the board of Dying with Dignity Canada, it's my privilege to welcome you to our virtual annual general meeting. Although circumstances beyond our control prevent us from meeting together in one place as originally planned, technology enables us all to interact and participate in these proceedings. Let me begin by expressing my gratitude to all our supporters and benefactors across the country. Without your steadfast support, our organization could not possibly do all that we do to enable Canadians to access their end-of-life rights. That work would not be carried out without the volunteer efforts of hundreds of supporters who give so unselfishly of their time and talent on a volunteer basis. I also want to thank our staff and board of DWDC. The past year has been one of transition and change, and board and staff have risen to the challenge and positioned our organization to take us to the next level. This year, DWDC will mark 40 years of advocating for end-of-life rights for Canadians. The year ahead will be filled with challenges and opportunities. Last fall, the Quebec Superior Court ruled that certain provisions of the Canadian and Quebec-made legislation infringed the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The Government of Canada has introduced amending legislation, which, while not perfect, will offer major improvements to MAID in Canada. We'll be working with parliamentarians on all sides of both houses to make that legislation even better when Parliament resumes its consideration of non-COVID-19 related matters. In addition, we look forward to participating in the legislative review of C-14, which will reflect upon the Canadian experience with MAID over the last 4 years. That review will also consider the issues of advance requests, mental illness, and mature minors, which were not dealt with in C-14 and were subsequently studied and reported upon by the Canadian Council of the Academies. In all of our work, we'll be guided by certain fundamental objectives. We will continue to defend the rights of Canadians who are being discriminated against under the current assisted dying rules. We will continue to explore opportunities to participate in legal challenges where the right to a peaceful death is at stake. We will continue to expose unfair systemic barriers to access to assisted dying across the country. And we will continue to provide information and emotional support to the growing number of Canadians who are seeking our help through our personal support program. As I said at the outset, these critical programs and activities would not be possible without the support of our members and benefactors. That continued support will fuel our year to come and make you proud to belong to Canada's leading human rights charity dedicated to end-of-life issues. And now let me introduce Helen Long, our new Chief Executive Officer. Helen joined us in mid-March and has quickly demonstrated her passion for our cause and the leadership skills required to take our organization to the next level. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you, Jim, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by echoing Jim's thanks and recognition for the ongoing support that you provide to the organization through your volunteer hours, your financial contributions, your letters to the government, and the sharing of the important work that we do with your peers. You are the reason that Dying with Dignity Canada has been so successful for the past 40 years. When I was being considered for the role of CEO, there were two things that really drove my desire to be successful. The first, and what sparked my interest initially, was my past volunteer experience with ALS Canada and the very recent diagnosis of ALS for a very close friend of mine. The second was the sense of commitment and passion that I saw in the stories and experiences shared on the DWDC website and social media. The stories of people like you and your loved ones. I'm very grateful and excited to have the chance to lead this amazing organization, and I'm committed to success in the days ahead. The theme of our annual report this year is Advancing Together. I'd like to congratulate the board, staff, and volunteers of DWDC on your success and achievements in 2019, including, for the first time ever, producing this annual report in both official languages. This is the first of many documents we'll be producing in French and English as we move forward. In 2019, we supported the Truchon versus Canada court challenge as an intervener. The successful challenge resulted in the federal government's proposed Bill C-7. While C-7 achieves some significant gains, it does not achieve all of our collective goals. And despite the challenges of COVID-19, we have and we will continue to advocate relentlessly to ensure that the legislative review of the MAID laws scheduled this year, as well as Bill C-7, address the issues with eligibility that exist. We'll continue asking you to join us in communicating with government officials on these critical issues. And whenever possible, we'll lend our support to court challenges that further advance our cause. We continue to provide critical support through education, navigation, and witnessing. 2019 demonstrated some impressive results. We've had to move quickly in the last couple of months to address the barriers that the pandemic has created in terms of how we deliver service. But it's been exciting to see changes implemented in both our witnessing and education programs that enable us to carry on. Over the next few months, we'll continue to develop material and expand that ability and that of our chapters to work in new ways. One of the things I've been most excited about since my arrival is DWDC's robust media presence and the incredible opportunity we have to share information through personal stories that are both motivating and inspiring. As we develop our internal team, we're excited to build on 2019's work through every channel to educate and engage Canadians on advanced care planning, patient rights, and end-of-life options, including MAID. The heart of DWDC is its volunteers. While we're going to profile, or we have profiled our newest council, the First Person Advocates Initiatives Council, in this year's annual report, this is the tiny tip of an enormous iceberg. From chapter chairs to clinicians and witnesses to board members, I've been truly impressed by the devotion and passion shown by all of our many volunteers. In 2020, we're committed to better supporting our volunteers and ensuring their voice is reflected in the work that we do. Finally, an enormous thank you to our donors in 2019. Your very generous support allows us to continue our work. We are truly grateful to those individuals that made contributions to us last year. And despite the difficulties that many are facing in current times, our donor base has remained supportive through the first half of 2020, and we're so grateful for that. So thank you. Thank you for your time, your support, and for contributing to our success. I'm proud to be part of such an important organization, and I look forward to us advancing together through 2020. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce Kelty Goforth, Senior Program Manager.
Thank you, Helen. Dying with Dignity Canada is immensely grateful for the expertise, insight, and support of our various volunteers and committees. And we continue to value their ability to help us strengthen our impact as an organization. Each year at our AGM, we highlight the influence of one of our volunteer programs. Today, I am delighted to share with you more about Dying with Dignity Canada's First Person Advocates Initiatives Council, or FAIC for short, the volunteer group we are honoring this year. The FAIC is made up of passionate and committed people from all across the country who work in professions as diverse as nursing and emergency services, the TV and film industry, theater, and law. The commonality they share is that they each supported a loved one through their journey with MAID. In 2018, we announced the creation of this dynamic group of volunteers with the goal that by drawing from their personal experiences, the members of this council will deepen our collective understanding of the challenges faced by people and families navigating their legal end-of-life rights. The council benefited from the leadership of Leanna Britton, a retired teacher and published writer who supported her husband Paul through his assisted death, the first to take place on Prince Edward Island. Leanna has been a passionate advocate for the importance of the patient and caregiver voice. She even traveled to Belgium in 2019 to share both her own experience and the importance of this collective voice within the MAID community. At the Third International Conference on End-of-Life Law, Ethics, Policy, and Practice. The First Persons Advocates Initiatives Council is more than an advisory council. It's also an active working group. 2020 marks the beginning of the 5th year of assisted dying being available in Canada. As you may remember, and as Helen just mentioned, when the Federal Assisted Dying Law, C-14, was introduced, it included the requirement that a statutory review of the law would begin at the start of the 5th year. DWDC has been busy preparing for this review process and has been grateful to have the support of the FAIC as we develop our plan forward. Alongside members of our Disability Advisory Council and Volunteer Auxiliary Council, the FAIC has created draft policy based on their own experiences in combination with research on the 3 groups currently excluded under the current law: mature minors, those whose underlying condition is psychiatric in nature, and those who would require an advance request to be able to access MAID. We are grateful for their dedication, organization, and very thorough work on these important and complex topics. Although we are honoring the achievements and passions of the FAIC at the 2020 AGM, we also want to recognize and thank the members of our other incredible volunteer groups and committees. I've had the privilege of working with our independent witness teams since we began our witnessing program back in 2016. Their dedication and sensitivity during periods of stress and uncertainty continues to amaze me. Our Clinicians Advisory Council, composed of nurse practitioners and doctors from across the country, takes a stand for compassionate choice at end of life and provides valuable insight to the organization. DWDC's Disability Advisory Council provides advice on aspects of our mandate from the perspective of the disability community. Our Volunteer Auxiliary Council, created by Leanna Britton, has assisted the FAIC in their work as well as taking part in other special projects within the organization. Our Patrons Council is the growing group of Canadian luminaries who endorse Dying with Dignity Canada's work and mission. And finally, our chapters are the individuals on the ground from coast to coast, spreading the word, educating, and representing the organization within their communities. To the FAIC and our volunteers in all areas of our work, we are grateful for your contributions and look forward to working with you in 2020 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. This concludes the presentation portion of our AGM. A recording of this earlier part of the meeting will be made available on our website in the coming week for anyone who would like to view. Copies of DWDC's 2019 Impact Report are also now available on our website under the About Us page.